say 39.
Number 1.
39.
1.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3.
2.
1.
It's time for mouthwash. Giddy up. Good evening and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And yes, we have a good show tonight. We have Michael Hart from the City County Council. He's going to come on first. We're going to talk about that. You're pretty much going to listen to me complain. So you might want to skip on to our next guest is James Jackson. He's running for mayor of Indianapolis. And I really want to see what he's got on his mind. I like the guy. He seems like he's got it together. And so if you have any questions for the mayor, please put those in the live chat. As you know, if you have a good question, we'll put it on the air for you. But first, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Michael Hart because I went to the City County Council. Let's do this big picture. You're a good looking guy. We'll put you up there on the big screen. I went to the City County Council last night, Michael. I hadn't been in a while, and probably since COVID. And I remember we had a community could get up and testify or talk about the bills and whatnot. It was a lot different than that last night. I was surprised that we had an hour of recommendations, recognizing people, and which is great. I think all those people, they're fine individuals. Indianapolis is great to have them. But then they did 20 minutes of business with no people talking or anything. It was really interesting. So fill us in on what the heck's going on there.
So I'll try and help out. So I will say, in the defense of what happened, last night was, in one sense, when we do budget season at the end of the year, we withhold all special resolutions. So if you actually watched in January, what was really interesting is that some of the counselors were actually doing special resolutions for Thanksgiving, which was really awkward in January. And it's kind of twofold, right? So there should be some limits on how often and how frequent and how many we do. And on the other side of the coin, it is helpful to recognize individuals. And we as Republicans, we've tried to position some things in front of leadership to say, hey, how about we position these things in a different way, where if counselors want to go out and do special resolutions, that's fine. We can make official record of them during the meeting, but very quickly. But have that counselor go out in the community and actually do the resolution in the scene with the people to make it a little bit more heartfelt, but at the same time, be a little bit more operational when we're trying to do business with the city, which is what you experienced last night. So it was a little bit of backlog, a little bit of campaign season, right? Because you've got 20, not all 25 are rerunning, but you've got a lot of folks that are campaigning this year, so they want to get some camera time. So they're putting up their favorite friends, their Boy Scout groups, their you name it, and they're just wanting to get some camera time, and that was the experience last night. And then boiling it down to a few minutes of business.
Yeah, very few.
And so, but I will say, traditionally at the beginning part of the year, what you normally see is a lot of board appointments, staff appointments, and we're really going through those motions. So what's really important to look at this meeting and in some of the early meetings are what are the proposals being introduced, because traditionally in a state legislature and in a local legislature like ours, it's, the first bills that are introduced are generally the most important. And what was interesting, if anybody didn't catch it, the first thing that was proposed last night, or a few things that were proposed, a few TIFs, right? Which if I think a few of the members of the show get interested in TIFs.
Yeah.
The market, the city market is going to be, has been proposed and actually passed last night to receive some TIF funding, get rebuilt out. And then there was a few other things that I would encourage your readers. I don't want to give it away because I want them to go look. I want them to get invested in city politics. Go look at the proposal introductions that came out last night.
Yeah, it was, it was an hour of that stuff. And then what was really interesting was all the people that came for the, the recognitions, they left. But, I don't blame them because you just sat there and listened to them read off some ordinances. And I know that in fairness, these all went through committee. They've been talked about. It's like when you go to the State House, they read it real fast. Read the bill. They go, blah, 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 blah. And then they say, yeah, it's just everybody's already done all the work. So they don't go through the tedious of reading the whole bill. They just have a guy up there do a speed reader, and then the guy. It's sort of interesting to watch. But hey, let's back up just a little bit, Michael. Tell us which district you're in, and you're running again, and what. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So my name, Michael Paul Hart, is the official name that you'll see on flyers, marketing media, and everything else. We've got Mike on the show. Or Michael on the show. Both are fine. I'm currently in District 18. I've represented District 18 for the last 3 years. We've had new maps come out. So as of this year in the campaign, I will be in District 20. So which is what the maps changed a little bit. So I'll go a little bit farther east in Warren Township, and I'll go a little bit north in Warren Township. So my new district boundary line will run up to about 21st Street and as far east as Carroll Road, as far south as Troy, and then as far west as about Emerson. So I've got that southeast side of Indianapolis where it's a lot of industrial, a lot of logistics, some business side, and just your everyday kind of blue collar, normal human being.
So you, as far as when they redistrict things, is this better or worse for you?
Well,
or sideways is basically the same.
It's pretty neutral, to be honest.
Okay.
I've looked at the precincts, and I try and maintain a really good relationship with the community. I go to the many charities, homeowner associations, the school district events, you name it. I try and show up, and I listen to everybody. To me, I don't care what people's political affiliation is. What we do on the city council is very operational, right? Our job is to make sure the trash is getting taken out, the water's draining, the police are paid, the fire is paid, and we have these public services. None of that stuff is very political. So I try and make it a point to tell everybody, look, I'm here trying to be very operational and make sure that the services from your local government are being taken care of. And that point seems to resonate pretty well with folks.
Yep. And you are one of the hardest working elected officials we have. I am a witness to that. So, Michael, I appreciate you coming on tonight and talking about that. And I know you find this hard to believe, but this evening someone called me about getting a building permit. And they said they went down there and they told them that if you don't know how to do this, you just shouldn't be doing it. So I walked them through the location improvement permit, the drainage permit, and all the permits that you need to get that done. They just want to build a little pole barn in their backyard. So good luck, I told them. so thanks for coming on here. Now I'm going to play. What do I want to play here? I'm going to go ahead and play we're going to try to have Abdul again on the Honest Merit show, because last week his wires got crossed or whatever. It was a big day. He announced and all that. And, we have James Jackson coming on here. So we'll do that. And then what's going to happen when that gets done, you'll be gone. And then the panel will be on. I'm sorry. I know all it's past your bedtime anyway. I know how you are, you young kids. You need your sleep. Yeah, I know. It's good. But thanks for coming on, and thanks for your hard work. And hopefully we can get some more Republicans on that council for you so your voice can be heard a little bit, right? Okay.
I think we're in good shape this year. And I just encourage everybody to come out, and volunteer and understand what it really is that we do, right? If you're somebody who just wants to make your community better, that's where this position is really important. And so I encourage anybody who's not happy with the businesses that's coming down the street, not happy with not having potholes being filled, come on down and we can help you find a way to get involved. Doesn't have to be a lot of time. It's really fun. We make it fun. I try to make it fun, and I'm happy to help out and direct folks in any way possible.
All right, Michael. Hey, thanks a lot. So here we go. Here we've got a preview for the show. We're calling this Abdul Take 2. So thanks, Michael.
Okay.
All right, we're back after that short commercial break, and I'm having some trouble with Lucy's. I think she's in Bloomington, so we're going to bring out our special guest here, James Jackson, and we're going to ask you, how you doing tonight, James Jackson?
Well, I'm doing good, thank you. I appreciate you, and thank you for having me on your show.
All right. Well, Lucy's not here, so I can speak for Tiffany. You probably have a pretty easy go of it tonight because she's our Republican on the show, and Ed is not here. We had a little trouble with our. Let me see here. Oh, she's driving. So let me see. I'm going to bring Lucy on and see what we have here. Hello, Lucy.
Hey, I am here if you can hear me.
Okay, good. If you could just mute in between talking, then that'd be good because I can hear a little better background. But yeah, we don't want to let James not get the full effect of our show because I know you're going to have some questions for somebody that wants to run for mayor of Indianapolis. So we're just not going to see your pretty face this evening. So you're driving back from Bloomington?
I am. So I'm driving under the full moon. There's a little bit of cloud cover. It's very idyllic. I mean, what better can I do than drive and talk to you guys all at the same time?
Well, the time will go quickly. We'll go there. So Tiffany, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Lucy, be careful out there.
Yeah, that's right. And we don't know what happened to Ed. It's South Bend, and it's the rough city up there. So James, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and some of that stuff. And we already have somebody who wants to hear about your peace plan. So let's get the particulars out of the way of what you do and maybe of why you're running for the mayor.
Well, thank you. I'm James Jackson, and I've lived in Indianapolis for about 45 years. I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, actually, but my father moved us to Indiana. I wasn't even 1 year old. And we lived in Muncie, Indiana for the first 11 years of my life. And my father got a promotion, moved us to Indianapolis, and I've been here in Indianapolis ever since. I'm a lead pastor of the Fervent Prayer Outreach Ministries Church, president of the Fervent Care, Child Care, and Christian Academy, which we started 26 years ago. Our church will be 29 years old this year. I founded that church from the ground up. I'm also currently a commissioner for the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. I'm in my second term, appointed by Governor Holcomb. I served on the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Merit Board under Greg Ballard. Also served on the Board of Public Safety. I'm also the president of the Far East Side Action Coalition, which out of that came a youth jobs program called Clean for Green, which was modeled by the current administration. Mayor Hogsett actually said he stole the program, which is pretty much what he did. But we started in 2012. It was a very effective program. Mayor Ballard thought the present administration should lop onto it, as he called it, but they pretty much confiscated that. But it expanded. They call it Project Indy now. I have a Master's of Divinity in Divinity from the Indiana Wesleyan University Seminary, and I just completed all the coursework needed for a doctorate in transformational leadership at IWU. And perhaps by this time next year, I'll be Dr. Mayor James Jackson.
Well, that'd be interesting because Mayor Hogshead has a master's in divinity. So if you happen to win this primary, maybe we'll have a preach off. And I got a feeling I know who's going to win that one.
I know who's going to win that one.
And all we have to do is tell Hogshead he couldn't say anything political in it, and he'd be done. So, but you know what's funny when you said you started in Louisville. I mean, that's the perfect definition of a Hoosier. You know, a Hoosier is a Kentuckian that ran out of gas going to Michigan. So, that's quintessential Hoosier right there. That's how, like, Tiffany's shaking her head. That's a true story, Tiffany. You never heard that folklore before?
You know, I never knew the true definition of Hoosier or the origins of the word, but now to know that it means ran out of gas. Yeah, great.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? It all makes sense. So, let's see. So now the next question is, all those credentials you just talked about, you seem pretty sane. What did you just like wake up one morning and drop something on your foot and says, dang it, I'm going to run for mayor?
No, and let me add to all those credentials, moreover, all of that. I'm married, be 30 years this year, to my wonderful wife, Dee Jackson, and I have 4 beautiful daughters who are my home, and 2 grandsons. But I have been contemplating getting into government for quite a number of years. Incidentally, Tiffany inspired me. We lived in Lawrence, and this was pre-COVID. And I was driving to my church, and I saw her signs at the intersection there. And she was a Republican, and I couldn't believe it. It was the first time.
If you've watched our show, you know she's Republican. I mean, in fact, Lucy's called her the GOP shrill. So there you go. That if that's not evidence, there's not evidence out there of this. So,
yeah. Well, most people don't know if I hadn't saw that particular sign, it probably would have taken me longer to actually launch into government. But that was inspiring, and I've been talking about it for quite some time. I was involved with the ballot administration for pretty much the second or third year of his first term, and all of his second term. We became very, very good friends. He and his wonderful wife, Winnie. And he would actually come to my church for my birthday parties. Just a great man. And a lot of people thought that I should get involved in government, which is not a good reason to do it. But I had someone actually ask me in 2015 to run for mayor. And my response to them was it wasn't my time. And that same person asked me again in 2019. And after prayer and talking with my wife about it, I decided to run for mayor. So I didn't just wake up one day deciding to do it. I've been involved with community for a long, long time. And our public safety situation, I have a passion for public safety, an unusual passion for public safety. And I've been involved, and I was on the team to help fix that. When we were trending under 100 homicides every year. You know, the first year you trend under 100, maybe that was an anomaly, but the second and third and fourth year we were successful, and there was a reason for that. And so I believe I can take those skills, and some of those folks who are on the team are still alive and live in Indianapolis, and they've been benched. Many of them have not been allowed to be a part of solving the problem. But Indianapolis needs a relational leader, and I am that leader.
Very good, very good. Tiffany, would you have a question? I'm going to get Lucy here. I think I got her back. I lost her there, and I got her back now. So we'll go with you, Tiffany, on any questions you might want to ask Mayor Jackson. That's interesting. Just say that a couple times.
Thank you. I call him Pastor Jackson. I respect everything that you've done. I love the level of education. I loved all the boards and commissions that you've been on. I didn't know you'd been so involved in Indianapolis. A quick question. You were talking about what you were doing with that team of people to reduce the murder rate in Indianapolis. Can you just shed a little bit more light on what you guys were doing?
Yeah, it was a comprehensive public safety plan, which involved community policing, which most people don't really realize that community policing is not about the police arresting more people and locking people up, but it's everybody in the community collaborating to keep the city safe. So we had community people. There was a public safety director at the time. You had the police department. You had the faith base. You had the business sector. You had all of these folks who were collaborating. The chief of investigations at the time had the highest clearing rate in the nation, which was above 80%. And if you're gonna have a safe city, you've got to be able to solve crimes. But if you're going to solve crimes, the department has to have a good relationship with the community. I graduated from the FBI Citizens Academy pre-COVID, and one of the things they taught us in that class, or that course, I should say, was that their motto is they don't do anything by themselves. So at the time that we were trending under 100 homicides and juvenile violence was near zero in 2015, according to then Chief Hart. You had all of this collaborative effort, all these folks in the community who were working together on the problem. We don't have that now under this administration. And in the Jackson administration, that's something that we'll bring back.
Okay, and we bring in a question in from the audience here, and then I'm going to get to you, Lucy. And I got her on mute because I can hear the background noise. But Adam asked, Mayor Hogsett often asks that the community policing is a goal of his administration. What are they missing, or what are they doing wrong?
Well, the biggest thing they're doing wrong is not listening to the right people.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Politics is part of our nation. It's part of government, but partisan politics should not get in the way of keeping people safe. In 2019, I asked to meet with President Rick Snyder of the FOP, Reverend Charles Harrison, and we had several other community leaders that we met with. And the question was, what is the problem as you all see it? I mean, the police do the job every day. They see what's going on. And so one of the things that they told us, they gave us the solutions. I don't want to go too far into that, but they told us what the solutions were. So when there's a disconnect between the police and the mayor, and I know he has a police chief, but I'm talking about the wider public safety community, when there's a disconnect. And I would even posit that there's a disconnect between the mayor and the sheriff. When I was on the merit board, in merit law, the sheriff is supposed to be consulted on all matters of public safety. This mayor doesn't work very well with the sheriff. He eliminated the public safety director's position and took all of that responsibility upon himself, which was a tremendous mistake.
Considering he doesn't do anything. So, he
made that his job, and it is job number one. But we have a director of public works, we have a director now of diversity, but we don't have a director of public safety. And it's the most important responsibility of a mayor or any government.
Yeah, and I think we can see how that's going. So I'm going to unmute Lucy here. We're going to release the Kraken. And Lucy, what are you hearing so far?
I'm actually hearing a lot of exciting things. I'm a believer myself, so I appreciate when, good Christian men stand up for leadership. And I acknowledge and respect, the kinds of skills you must have to first lead a church community before you can lead the wider community. With all that being said, I used to live in Indianapolis my whole life, and I left Marion County largely because of crime and also infrastructure issues. So you've talked about things like crime and your desire to serve the public and help keep them safe. What are your plans with regards to things like the water quality in Indianapolis, people losing tires and hundreds of dollars every time, they hit a pothole, things like that?
Yeah, well, my wife just had her wheel replaced today on a wheel that could not be been repaired from a pothole. And it's just beyond repair, so we had to spend quite a bit of money to replace that. Indianapolis, you can go all the way back to 2009. I pulled some old papers that I had of a caucus, and there were several counselors who were asking for the city to provide funding for residential streets and interior roads. And here we are now in 2023, and the same things that they were asking for back in 2009, we still need in 2023. We need roads that are going to last more than 5 or 10 years. We need, if you're going to fix a pothole, make sure you use the best materials so that when you go through the winter, you're not having to keep on coming back and to fix those potholes. In my conversations with Mayor Ballard, they were able to use superior materials to get these things done. And we're not doing that. So in my administration, we're going to make sure there are some roads, they don't need to be patched, they need to be snatched.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I would agree. I could give you a short list or a long list of those. Yeah. And I remember when Mayor Ballard was struggling with funding, and I believe we sold some parking meters to help with that. I mean, he was throwing every piece of junk in the kitchen sink at it to get that funding. And I know that we have some funding issues from the state, the way they do their funding. But I saw Brian Bosma downtown, and he said, I'm sending a whole boatload of money down here. I just don't know if our Department of Public Works is actually fit or has the right tools or people or whatever to get this job done. So I think across the board, there's some fundamental changes to be happening. So I'm going to there's a question here. There's a question in here. What's your assessment of, say, the 11 departments that the mayor is under? I mean, even one of those is the airport authority, the health department. There's a bunch of, what is your assessment? I mean, is that something that is going to be a total redo, or is it something that we can repair, or what's your plan for that going forward?
With regard to the roads, or?
Well, just any of these departments. I mean, my pet peeve is the business and neighborhood services. It's anybody that knows me, I have several axes to grind with them as far as their processes and their ineptness and all that. And it seems like there's quite a few processes or systems that have problems, like the mayor's action hotline. I've never had a call back from that. I know that's one of the things that citizens can't really get a hold of somebody if they have, say, a pothole. I think maybe the simple answer is it just needs more attention. But do you have anything other than that you might be presenting?
That's the primary thing. What you monitor and measure improves. What you focus on expands. One of the things I've observed about this administration is they do a full court press in the election year.
You've noticed that, huh?
Yeah.
3 years of nothing and 1 year everything.
Yeah, I mean, look at the city now. You can't go far enough you got to take a detour and go down a different street. And so this is a facade to make people think that they're actually doing something. The mayor says he wants 4 more years because of COVID, but I think the true test of a leader's ability to lead is in times of crisis. So if times are good and COVID's gone and you can get it done, most people could if they really worked on it. But a great leader could have put us in a better position than we are now if they had been leading. And so Indianapolis is where it is today because of leadership. When you don't have the right people leading, you see the results in the community.
Yeah, one of the things that I say is it took Mayor Hudnut 20 years to build up the city, and it's taken Mayor Hogsett 8 years to just put us back to vacant buildings downtown. Is not, we could do better. I'm going to say it that way. We could do a heck of a lot better. All right, I'm going to do one more question here. This is going to be about the prosecutor. This one is, what do you think about Ryan Mears? I mean, I don't know how much say the mayor has over the prosecutor, but I think they should work together. Is that what you think, or what do you think about that?
I don't. I know Ryan Mears, but I don't think that the sheriff, the mayor, and the prosecutor have the relationship that's needed to get us out of what I'm calling now a public safety apocalypse.
Yeah.
People say we have a public safety crisis, and I think we did have that. But there are new trends now, and there are people. I've lived in Indianapolis for 45 years, and I've never seen so many stabbings.
Everything. I tell you, we had 4 arsons. I live in Mars Hill. We had 4 arsons, 2:00 Saturday morning, and you didn't hear about it on the TV because there was 3 murders, 7 stabbings, police officers shot. It is just sucking the wind. It's just sucking the life out of our city. Literally, it is that. And then we have that news today about the police that shot a guy that was just sleeping in his grandma's driveway. I mean, I don't. You're right. Apocalypse is that. We are at a point now where it's like, something's got to give. I mean, I don't think we can take much more of that. So I'm gonna hold that thought. We have a segment called Small Talk with Mark Small. And Mark is actually running for, I think, District 2 for the City County Council. So he's got a Republican challenger, and then he's got stuff going on later. But he does a segment, James, and he's very professional. He is one of the best people I work with. He's a lawyer, and he helps get people out of jail that can't afford lawyers. He's an all-around bleeding heart. I can't say liberal because he gets mad, but he's probably the leftist person you'll meet in the Republican Party, and he always has some interesting viewpoints. But one thing I love about Mark is he hates TIFs too. So let's see what we have with Mark Small night. I'll give you full disclosure. I haven't even seen it. I just edited it, and here you go. So we'll have some more questions, I'm sure, on the other side of this.
I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk, February 7th, 2023. Indianapolis, Marion County, they're one. It's Unigov, except for like Beech Grove and Speedway and Lawrence. They're kind of towns in there, but we have Unigov. And the idea, I guess, is that there'll be like some kind of planning and unity of government, only there isn't. If you look at how things are planned here in the city, they really aren't. And people think, well, that's the free market. It's the free market at work. It's not free market. Contractors spend a lot of money to make a lot of money in Marion County. And as a result of those expenditures, they get contracts. Give an example of how things are planned. We got apartment buildings that have been put up here in Broad Ripple. It's a section of Indianapolis that are really ugly. And they had to build those apartment buildings because they have the Red Line bus coming up here. And they've got the Red Line bus coming up here because they had to have it for all those apartment buildings. Makes sense to you? Doesn't to me. We also had to spend money on that, we as taxpayers. Now, think about it. The free market is working in ways that people will be spending money where they want to move and the market reacts accordingly. Why do you need to give them funds from the government? That's not free market. So what we have is we have TIF money. Oh, that's not taxpayers' money. It will be. TIFs fail inevitably. TIFs are bond issues without the oversight. So we have no planning in Marion County. You look at Castleton, that was where things were being built up like 40 years ago. And places up there, office buildings are empty. And things will be empty here in Broad Ripple too, when that shiny new thing that contractors have is gone, the TIF funds. I'm running for City County Council in District 2 in the Republican primary. I think we should stop TIFs. We need to have planning in our city government, because without planning, we'll just keep blundering on ahead, tossing money at contractors. I'm Mark Small. I approve of this message. Hell, I made it. Peace, love, happiness. Have a good one.
Holy shankies, Shaggy. He sounds like a conservative almost. I'm like, I actually could follow. Sometimes James, Mark has some interesting comments, but I mean, that we're all like trying to keep up with them, but that was spot on. These TIFs and different things that they're doing to us. They're trying to put a 75-year TIF on my neighbors here in Mars Hill to help fix the floodplain. That's like generations of a TIF. So I guess if you can't pay a lot of property taxes on your house, you got to make that TIF a little longer. But so since he brought that up, what is your feelings about TIFs, tax increment funding?
They can be useful if they're used in the right way. I don't think we ought to just do it to make contractors rich. But they can be used to help build up the neighborhoods if they are used in the most prudent way.
Yeah, well, my thing is like we put $10 million in the park over here, Cranert Park, but we can't give $10 million to our poor neighbors that can't afford it. So, priorities. That's what I'm trying to say. So, Tiffany, you got. I see you thinking up there. You have any questions?
You can see the hamster running.
I can't. He's like, you got two hamsters on that wheel. One's going this way. One.
So I loved you talking about public safety. That's definitely something that is near and dear to my heart. We often say up in Fishers, there's no Fishers without Indianapolis. So definitely hoping and praying for a very strong and vibrant Indianapolis. So what are your top 3 goals when you're elected?
Well, number one, with the public safety issue, and there are 3, I think, primary responsibilities of the mayor: public safety, economic development, and infrastructure. Where public safety is concerned, one of the first things I will do is to reinstate the public safety director's position, to have someone who is working on public safety full time. Secondly, is to work with local and state legislators and public safety professionals to end the early release of repeat violent offenders. The young man that was shot and killed in Memphis, Tennessee, in the library, was from Indianapolis, and he had a lengthy police record. You might remember the Crystal Walton and the Orlando Mitchell case out at the daycare on the west side of Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah.
Which is owned and operated by friends of mine. And they were just devastated. I called and prayed with the pastor that morning that happened. But Orlando Mitchell had been given a 363-day sentence, which was suspended. And if he had been serving his sentence and getting the help that he needed, he would not have been out that day to commit that horrible crime. And so we have consistent cases like this that are popping up and happening more and more often. Some call it the revolving door, but it's the folks who are violent repeat offenders who get arrested and they are not ready to get out. Now, ending early release does not mean no release forever, because in jail, there are a lot of people who are not getting mental health care that they need. And that's something that I want to work with the state of Indiana, of course, with our local folks, to make sure people are getting the help they need, so when they do come back into the community, they are ready to do that. Thirdly is really working on the infrastructure and making our roads safe. I want to work on what I call smart streets, and that's using technology, smart stoplights, other technologies, which will help to reduce commute times. It will also help to reduce the number of people who are getting hit. These hit and runs that we have will also help to reduce the number of cyclists that are being hit. We have bike lanes, we have people who are out and doing fitness, but we hear about more and more people getting hit while they're walking or hit while they're cycling. And so a smart streets program in the future would help to prevent a lot of that.
Well, you're talking my language. I looked at the smart stoplights. They've had them in the Philippines and the Far East for some years. And between the LEDs and the smart, you basically pay off these incandescent lights we have, because, hey, somebody's got to pay the light bill on all those stoplights, right? Yeah. So, the savings, they've done it in 2008. So there's actually a study, something that's working that can do that. So I like the way, and plus I'm a cyclist too, and I've almost been run over several times, but they haven't gotten me yet.
We got to ride together sometime. I like to cycle as well.
All right. Yeah, I do a little bit of that every once in a while. So have you ever do any racing?
No, I want to stay alive.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you, I beat Hogsett in the celebrity race at the Indy Crit. So I wish I had that picture handy. I would put it up there, in all my glory, but it was fun. But the police were happy that they beat him because he was riding with the fire department and they got third. So anyway, I digress. Lucy, I hear you there.
Hey.
Yeah, I was going to you.
Yeah,
I can hear
thank you for
even while you're driving. What do you got?
Yeah, thank you for not forgetting about me. And I'd like to point out that back in the 80s, I actually used to race at the Major Taylor Velodrome. in Marion County. So I'm a cyclist too. Don't want to mention, leave that out. Pastor Jackson, I have a serious question for you.
You might have a serious question. You're cutting out.
And I'm cutting when I need to ask a serious question.
I know it. Well, you're coming back now. You're coming back. It's like the magic 8 ball. What do we got here?
Okay. Well, Pastor Jackson, do you believe in the inerrancy of the Bible?
The inerrancy of the Bible.
That the Bible is without error, that it is completely 100% true, God-breathed and God-inspired.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood your question. Absolutely.
Okay. So if you believe the whole Bible, then I'm going to then say that you likely believe in the 10 Commandments. Is that correct?
I do.
Okay. God specifically tells us that we are not to steal. Your position as mayor will be to steal from every single person, and then to, in your beneficence, take those funds that are stolen from individual laborers and workers and redistribute those for things that you as the mayor think are great or that other people are lobbying you to do. And I would like to know if you would pledge to follow God's law and not steal from people.
Which he's talking about taxation as well. This is like taxation is theft. That's Lucy's tagline. And I'm going to agree with her. I'm going to agree with her. I heard about we're not going to have an income tax anymore. I'm like, wow, thank you, Lord. I'm tired of paying all this tax. I'm tired of it.
No, this is a very serious thing because, Pastor Jackson, you mentioned things like, wanting to install cameras and do all of these things. See, all of this tyranny is done in the name of progress or safety. Remember when, God, remember when God warned people that if they asked for a king, he would give it to them, and then they were devastated. Yeah. People were designed by God. We were put here to be free individuals who were able to make, a life for ourselves and worship God without the interference of the state. And if you're in a position as mayor, you have to make the moral decision of will you follow God's law and not steal from people's paychecks and not take little old ladies or families that have bought their home. They've even paid it off. They owe no mortgage. But if they don't pay the property taxes to the state, then they find themselves in the position of being homeless because the state will literally steal what they have bought from them. And I want to know if you're willing to be a party to that theft.
I've never been willing to be a party to any kind of theft. The things that
Then you can't be a politician.
Well, the things that I'm talking about doing, there are ways to get it done without adding taxes to people.
I'm not talking about adding taxes. I'm talking about taxes at all. Whether you steal $1 or $1 million is still a sin in the eyes of God, right?
Well, if you're talking about me enacting new taxes, I'm not going to do that.
Well, I think the tax burden is already so high that there are families that can't afford to eat. If I think about the average family in Marion County, if they suddenly had 15 to 30% of their labor and paycheck returned to them, they all of a sudden would be out of credit card debt. They would be able to feed their families. They would be able to pay their electric bills. But currently, the government is a parasite upon their backs, preventing them from taking care of their family.
I guess my question would be, how do we pay for this stuff then, Lucy?
If it's not worth doing through the free market and with voluntarism, then people are voting with their dollars. For example,
I'm not being volunteered for those put up a stoplight.
No, actually, you would. Actually, you would, and I
could, but I'm not going to do it.
I will prove it to you that people will do that voluntarily. The way that you know that they will do it voluntarily is people already get together and create their own communities. Not that I'm a fan of homeowners associations because, that's a different usurpation of rights. But if you are in a homeowners association and you have the voice, you have the choice to move in, to buy there or not buy there, you have the choice to agree that, hey, we want to have a community where there's a pool, there's going to be a cost associated with that, and we're going to voluntarily pay for that. So if people in Indianapolis, want to have stoplights, if they want to have roads, they can voluntarily contribute to things like lotteries. It's exactly how Benjamin Franklin funded the beginning of the country. We had roads before 1913, before there were income taxes.
Yeah, didn't income tax come in about 1920? 1920 was a lot of bad stuff happened. Income
So
tax, prohibition.
we got the Federal Reserve Act on December 23rd of 1913, and that was also when the Federal Reserve Act was passed, and the Internal Revenue Service was also passed at the same time. You really can't have one without the other, but that's another whole discussion.
We're just talking about mayor here. We're not talking about the Fed, because we know how that's going to end.
Well, that's another question. You know, when you talk about public safety, who keeps the public safe from the government? Do I have your pledge to stand up against the federal government? And when the federal government comes in and says, all of you businesses who are feeding your family and literally serving each other's business, serving each other as businesses. So, I've got the restaurant, I'm serving coffee. My neighbors want to come in and buy coffee from me, but the government came in and interfered with all of those businesses during COVID and said, you're not essential. You're going to have to shut down. We don't care if you need to feed your families. We don't care if you get behind on your property taxes, because we're then going to steal your property from you anyway. So I'm looking for leadership that has that will stand strong in the eyes and laws of God and say, you know what? Taxation is theft. It is wrong to take something out of somebody's paycheck. It is wrong to ask people or to force people to take a medical experiment, which, by the way, is all against God's design, with the RNA manipulation. But I want to know if you're willing to stand for God and to protect people from tyranny.
Well, I'll say what Jesus said, since we're referencing the Bible. Give Caesar what's due Caesar, and give God what's due God.
Hey, I got news for you. Caesar's dead, and we're not living in Rome.
He got stabbed too. So I'm going to let you off the hook here a little bit, because one of my things is, Lucy, I love that concept, but heck, we can't get people from shooting each other in the city right now. So I think maybe that's something we could work
Maybe
towards.
People are shooting each other because the government has created a situation where instead of people being able to consume substances like marijuana inside their homes, there's a black market that was created by the government. And the reason that was created is a very racist reason. It goes back to Nixon and the drug war. Nixon was mad at the hippies. Yeah, Nixon was mad at the hippies.
Watch that movie, American Gangster. So we're gonna shift. I hear what you're saying, Lucy, and I know, James, did I warn you that Lucy will ask tough questions but Lucy, to your point, Lisa talks about that. We wanted to put sidewalks in our own neighborhood here. I asked our councilman, I asked the city, I said, I'll put them in, I'll get the easements, I'll pay for them. And they would not let us do it. So it's not only taxation, theft. It's almost like, hey, we're not going to take care of you, and we're not going to let you take care of yourself. So those are the type of things that I think that frustrate people. And
I think it's worth looking into something like that. If it's not illegal for people to do that, and they can do it in the right way.
Yeah, I'm a contractor. I mean, it would be done right, and I understand that not everybody can do those things. I get it, but my thing was either you do it or let me do it, and I'll pay for it. I mean, it's two choices: either you do it or I'm going to do it. But I'm not ready to go to jail yet, because I could see them throwing me in a jail. They would love it. They would be laughing the whole time when they put me in the jail.
Too pretty for jail.
You have to. Oh, come on, Tiffany. Keep it. So you got another question, Tiffany? Now that since you made that comment, you better have another question.
Let's see. I was going to latch on to what you said about, would you be interested in letting people privately pay for things like sidewalks in communities?
I would be interested in talking to the engineers that the city has and reviewing the laws with the council and looking into infrastructure. And if that's something that could be done in the right way, and it could save the city money, that would be something worth looking into.
Okay.
One of the things they have now is it's a matching fund, but it's not very much. So say we want to put our sidewalks here in Mars Hill, so we'd get our neighbors together and we'd raise up $500,000 or whatever, and the city would match that. The problem is we got to use city contractors, and the problem with that is I can do the city contract work for a lot less than they can do the work. So I have a problem with that. We should, if we got half the skin in the game, we should be able to pick our contractor. So that's sort of my thing.
all these things are worth looking into. When I was on the board of public safety, my question was, why were we giving grants to the same people every time it was grant season? And the answer was, well, we can't find qualified contractors, but I went out and found them. So it's just a matter of looking into these things to see how feasible they are, and if it can be done in the right way.
So
I have a follow-up question. So as you prepared for the show tonight, is there anything that we haven't asked you that you thought we would ask you aside from taxation and theft?
yeah, that's standard. Everybody gets that question, Pastor Jackson. And I agree with Lucy. I just don't know how we can get it done.
And Lucy, in your honor, you did not say green rectangles. So that's another one too.
Yeah, you didn't. That's what she calls dollar bills, green rectangles. So,
well, what Lucy is suggesting is not impossible. It just takes people looking at it to see how it can get done. The question that hasn't been asked is, why am I, as a black pastor, running as a Republican?
Oh, that was a no-brainer for me. So okay.
I would have sounded like the white guy on the show and say, I didn't notice.
John is a color.
This is the only.
I got a black friend.
This is the only show I've been on that I haven't been asked that question. But
well, this is the best show, and honestly,
do tell.
Well, because I mean, where do you get to come on and talk to like not normal people? I used to say normal people, and it's pretty laid back. You get to have your time to talk, and I don't know. We've had our guests always like being on the show, and a lot of that is because we have a broad range of people. We got Mark Small, we got Lucy, we got Tiffany. I don't know where Ed is, but I'd fire him, but we're not paying anybody anything, so I can't do that. Volunteers are hard to get rid of. So, but I think that that's one of those things that we ask the questions that probably a lot of people are asking, and plus we have our lovely audience here that gets to ask questions too. So when I started the show 2 years ago, we've been doing this 2 years, a show. And that was my goal, was to be able to get audience participation and respect and illustrate everyone's opinion. Try not to make too much fun of those that we don't agree with, but at the same time, respect it. So I guess what is your answer to why are you running as a Republican as a black man?
Because you can't run as a woman.
Hey, never mind. I've already got enough trouble here. Go ahead.
You got some of that mouthwash?
HR department.
Yeah, get the foot order out of my mouth. I'm sorry. Never mind.
My beliefs and values run congruent with the platform for the Republican Party. Years ago, I started reading party platforms. So I would download the Democrat Party platform, and then I would download the Republican Party platform, and looked into conservatism, and then looked at my own life and the things that I was doing, and said, hey, my beliefs, my values, and the things that I want to do are more aligned with the Republican Party.
Yeah, that's the right answer. And it's funny. I do have more than one black friend. I talked to a few black, and it's surprising how many. But I know I got friends. I'm not going to tell you who they are. You'll be mad at them maybe or something. You'd call them up, but basically,
coming to the meetings.
They will vote Democrat, but they are not Democrat. They just what you just said. But they, their mom voted Democrat and their dad voted, they've just been in that thing. So I guess there's a question in here. How do we get people to look at this platform and say, hey, this aligns more with me? And how do we get them to vote? Because that seems to be the problem, is getting people to vote. How do we get them excited to vote?
There's two issues here, John. Do you want people to vote, or do you want them to read the platform and understand Republican values?
Both. I want them to read the platform first and then go vote.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
It's voter education, and too often people are just not informed about the party. Nobody told me about it. I had to go and find out. I had to go and do my own research, and I found that Black people have a rich heritage Since this is Black History Month, we have a rich heritage in the Republican Party. Hiram Revels was one of 7 men who made up the first Black Congress in the United States of America. And you read about all those guys, and the first civil rights legislation, which I didn't know, was not in the 1960s, but in the late 1800s. So even back then, those guys were encouraging Black people to vote for Black Republicans. But that's not something you learn in school. That's not something that you learn in church. And I was able to find out, because I like to discover things, I like to know things. And it led me to make that decision to be a part of this party.
Yeah, and I think that, our party statewide is making quite a bit of effort with the diversity and equity program. But Tiffany is one of the first graduates of that. And
yeah, we were in the class together.
That's where I've met you before. Oh boy.
Yeah.
This is where okay, never mind. Well,
we came at this two
I
of us.
think I'm even in a picture with. I got
We
in a
didn't
picture
know if
with.
you were supposed to run or drop the TV. We both came at you and just got you. Like,
Oh, please take it easy, Ollie. Please take it easy. Oh, I see Lucy's back. We lost her for a second there. So I would Lucy, are you there, Lucy? Hold on. There you go. Are you there, Lucy? Nope, lost her. Her mic's open, so if she does happen to, she's driving back from Bloomington, so she's having some issues with the thing, and the government probably ran her off the road for that taxation is theft comment. That's what happened. So let's see. Well, we're getting close to the hour here, and our policy is we don't have tinfoil hat politicians on because it's conspiracy theories, and we don't want to ruin your career with that.
But one of the things that we sometimes do if we don't do conspiracy theory, we do beauty tips, skin tips.
Okay, let's do that tonight instead of conspiracy theory, because I probably don't have one, and you never have one, and Lucy, it's not, and Ed's not here, so it's like I do have a good one for Ed though. Dang it, I had a good one because there was a big brawl at a basketball game up there. And I was gonna say the conspiracy was Ed threw a banana peel out on the court and a player slipped on it, and that started the big fight.
Dude, you cannot throw bananas. Oh my gosh.
I know it. I'm just saying so, but that would have been my conspiracy that Ed started the fight at the 2 high schools up in South Bend that cleared the benches. So with that being said, now, James, you're gonna have to stay on for beauty tips. That will hopefully not affect your campaign. Tinfoil hat probably would. So Tiffany, what is the beauty tip of the show week?
So there's just so many things to cover. Can I be on the big side right now?
Okay, hold on. Yeah, there you go. We'll take James off of that. Look at her go.
Thank you. So there are so many important things to cover as we talk about skincare, but I think since it's winter, it's most important that we talk about hydration. Brown people, light brown people, white people, everybody should hydrate their skin. After a shower, consider putting on some lotion. If you need more moisture, you might want to go with a body butter or some type of moisturizing oil. But it is very important that you hydrate your skin during the cold season. Your skin's going to feel nice and luxurious. You're less likely to drop flakes. And I just think it's an overall better experience as we're aging. So please, men, women, black, brown, white, yellow, please, everybody hydrate.
I'm as scaly as a fish right now. What is your recommendation for that? And I'm very lazy.
Lotion.
I mean, going like this, I can't do it. It's too hard. I can't.
Lotion.
I'm done. Warm weather. I need warm weather.
How are you not hydrating? How can you stand being in your skin?
I was about to murder somebody Saturday. It was getting so bad. I'm telling you, it was because what happens is I work outside in the cold and I wear clothes and they rub all day on you and it's dry. And yeah, and then I'm just too lazy to put stuff on there. So what brand or whatever, what do I do? I need heavy duty moisturizer.
Do you use a bar soap or do you use liquid soap?
I use a bar soap.
Really?
I mean, I'm a guy. I mean, I don't know these beauty tips.
Wow. Okay. Bar soap. So what I would tell you to do, since this is kind of emergency, maybe even I would start with some oil, like right when you get out, when you're done in the shower and you're still wet, a little bit of body oil and just kind of rub it on nice and easy. Something that's going to be moisturizing and you're going to sense it, but not really not super heavy or anything like that.
Okay.
Now, do you have any cracked areas? Do you have like skin that's cracking? How are your elbows?
No, it's just I'm good there. It's just it's itchy, like
yeah. You start with some oil when you're in the shower. Just mix it in with the water. It helps to seal in moisture. I think that will be really helpful too. And then maybe in your private time, just maybe a little bit of lotion. I mean, for some people, Jergens work. For some people, need something with Vaseline in it. I'm a cocoa butter kind of woman, so you got to find something that works.
So our viewers are actually getting into this. So it's like Woody says, what kind of hand moisturizer? Sorry about this, James. I didn't know we had such a need for these beauty tips.
So the thing is that like when it comes to moisturizing, like whatever smells good to you, whatever you come into contact with, like out from a hotel, like take something with you. Cool Whip can moisturize, but what I find is that the residue is far too sticky. I mean,
if you're going to Dairy Queen or something, it's good for you. Well, this show, I do digress. I'm going to bring James back.
Motor oil, something way too heavy.
Way too heavy. So back to seriousness, because this is serious running for the mayor here. And my wife Lisa, she's running for city county council. She's out here in 22, and hopefully we can get some friendly faces for hopefully a Republican mayor. Pastor Jackson, thanks so much for the history. There are really isn't common knowledge, a lot of this stuff, and I think that's where we're at. We got to get people excited to do this. So we thank you for being a guest tonight, and we'll get you on his Merritt show too. Jim Merritt he's going to ask good questions. And
wait a minute. One quick question, just to be serious for one more second. What do you see your strengths are as compared? What are your strengths as compared to the other people who filed?
A lot of the things that people are talking about they want to do, I have already done. With regard to public safety, I was part of the team that helped to drive down the homicides and make the city safer. We've been doing early childhood education and child care for 26 years successfully. We have students who graduated from college, who are in college now, who are performing really well. So just having the experience, actually having been involved in doing the thing, so I will be able to scale up the success that I've already had in the past in a lot of areas, and then learn some new things and help move the city forward.
Yep. And it's been good to get to know you on this. And one of my questions were, do you know enough people to bring in to do this? And I think throughout this show, you have illustrated the fact that a few people. A few people who like to get back in the game that have been left out of the game, and very well be why we're on this downslide as far as public safety goes. So we do appreciate that. Let's see, we got
I want to see that change right now. Unfortunately, there's this in and out mindset. When one administration comes in, there are people who are out and there are people who are in. Another administration comes in, there's people who are out and there's people who are in. When you're in a public safety apocalypse, you need everybody contributing. Bill Bratton, who I met in Washington, D.C. when I was on the Merit Board, and I traveled there with Chief Hart for a conference, and I met Bill Bratton. And he was considered at one time America's top cop. And he gave me his book, Collaborator Perish, and signed it for me, actually. And talked to me about public safety. And it was a really great experience. And that's the key. It's collaboration. I've offered for years to help Mayor Hogsett with the public safety issue, and have been locked out of that on several occasions.
I know that feeling. So yes, I very, very much learned a lot tonight from you. I'm very, you're much more experienced than I assumed. How's that for that? So, but before you go, James, Lucy has a beauty tip that I'm going to, let's see if I can get her on here. Lucy, are you there with your beauty tip? Hello, Lucy. Come in, Lucy. She's like in the space shuttle going around the orbit and around the Earth. Oh, I don't think we're going to get her. So she said she was stopped, but all right. One last silly thing before we go. So walk in, the music should be stop, collaborate, and listen. Vanilla Ice, 1992, I believe. That's what it is. Yeah. Ice baby. So we didn't even get to talk about your peace plan. So tell us about that real quick, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah, it's public safety, education, community development, and economic development. And you've got housing in there, you've got homelessness, we've got infrastructure in there, all the things that affect and impact quality of life and quality of place for the people who live in Indianapolis. And I would say if people want to see change, take action, vote James Jackson.
All right. Well, James, we appreciate you being on tonight. It was really a great interview. We wish you all the luck and all that. And, and keep coming to our meetings, because we're getting ramped up to get people going. And like I said, before you go, how can people get a hold of you? How can people give you some funds? How do we get this peace train going? How do we get it going?
JamesJacksonformayor.com is a good place to go. All my information, donate button there, WinRed's on there, secure giving, also JJ for Mayor. Of course, that's on my website as well. And we got a volunteer meeting coming up on the 21st. A lot of great things. I'm excited. We've already had some community meetings, but go to my website. All the information is there.
All right. We do appreciate it. We have Lucy on, but we're going to go ahead and say bye to you. Thanks for coming on, and good luck. Okay. So we're going to bring Tiffany. We're going to bring Lucy on here. Lucy, are you there? Hold on. I got to add her.
Yeah. I think it was all the muting back and forth.
Yeah, I think we were muting each other. Is mutiny on the bounty is what it was.
Yeah, and it was StreamYard. That's why I logged out and logged back in.
Okay, well, I think James was getting into the beauty tips. I do. I think he was, but
everybody can benefit from just a beauty tip, just something that you can just do, something little you can do. Yeah.
So Lucy, what's your tip? We're still rolling live, by the way, so keep it clean.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know that we're live. My beauty tip is, first of all, if you're not beautiful on the inside, it doesn't matter if you're beautiful on the outside. So that's number one. And number two is, the only way to create beauty is if you have a clean body and you are eating clean. So the first rule is don't poison yourself. So you should be working with your neighbors and with your state legislatures and bugging them and saying, stop Monsanto from spraying glyphosate everywhere. Stop them from selling this poison to our farmers. Take the things that are terrible and poisonous out of our beauty products. I mean, things that are allowed in the United States are not allowed at all in Europe, but we're slathering our body and our skin with things that we wouldn't put in our mouth and eat because they would be toxic and kill us. So
isn't a lot of makeup made out of like pig's fats or something like that?
I don't know of any makeup that's made out of lard. The really good stuff is made from shea butter and cocoa butter and coconut oil and apricot kernel oil and things like that. But the point is that if you want to be healthy, whether spiritually or physically, you must get back to the original, to what God created.
I'm all in on that, but man, I eat so much junk. I gotta be better. So, all right. Well, hey guys, I don't know where Ed was. Something happened. The internet blew up in South Bend. Who knows? Maybe he was in that fight at those the two high schools, got in the basketball fight. Maybe he's in the jail. I don't know. Maybe
that's what happens when you throw bananas on basketball courts.
Yeah, that's just bananas, isn't it? So, but that's a conspiracy, though. We don't know if that's fact. Allegedly. So. All right. Well, I don't know who we have next week, but I'm sure it'll be an interesting guest. We were supposed to have Ashley Grogg to talk about medical freedom and SB4 and all sorts of stuff like that. She's always an excellent guest on here, but somehow she had another meeting at 9. So James was fortunate enough to jump in that spot, because we were going to have him on as our, Valentine's Day is our next Tuesday show. So maybe we should think of somebody that's something to do with Valentine. I don't know.
Right. And maybe bring Ashley back in on the 21st if we don't bring her on the 14th, because there is a big stink happening down at the State House where they are once again trying to conspire against the citizenry and install vaccine passports. People don't understand that they're using public safety as the nose under the tent and public health as the nose under the tent, because they've already got everybody carrying around their life and their tracking device in their hands. I'm talking on it right now. But what happens when you have
I got mine right here.
Yep. What happens when you have to have a health passport? Well, then, people are already used to allowing themselves to be scanned, and you're going to be socially engineered to then accept digital currency. So my best advice for people is actually to just get cash. Get cash, hold cash. Gold and silver are much better than cash, but in every way that you can, avoid being tracked by paying with cash instead of with a card.
Yeah, and they're trying to get us out of paying for that cash. So when is that going to happen at the State House? You say around the 21st?
No, I'm saying it's actually tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
maybe why she had a meeting tonight, because
Yes.
that was what the conflict was. She was double booked, but she is fighting this fight. She actually got fired from her job fighting over this stuff, and
she's amazing.
So, she's really picking up this mantle on this thing. And man, I'll tell you what, I'm so over the COVID stuff. And I don't know if everybody else is, but I lived through it like the blizzard of '78.
It was never about COVID. It was always about control.
Yep, I think we're starting to see that a little bit. So, okay, everybody. Well, let's call this a wrap, and we will. Hold on, I got to get to the right part here. There you go. Hey, we thank our viewers. Without the viewers, we would just be another show on the internet. So that's what I'm going to say with that. So anyway, everybody say goodbye, and hey, do your beauty tips. We'll report back next week.
Moisturize, everybody moisturize.
Moisturize and go. So, all right. Well, peace out.
Bye.